In the months since our return from Sierra Leone, the quest for peace there has taken a major step forward and back again. 2 weeks ago, the RUF agreed to end its hostilities with the government and said it would begin the process of disarmament. But just hours after releasing hundreds of child soldiers, the rebels resumed their fighting, dashing any promises of peace. So UN peacekeepers continue moving in on the RUF to try and reclaim what the rebels have taken away. It may not look it, but peace has come to Sierra Leone, at least to parts of it. A city once controlled by the rebels has now been reclaimed, restoring some form of peace and bringing with it the protective, watchful eye of United Nations peacekeepers, a force of 12,000 strong. This is Lunsar, a village in Sierra Leone. UN troops, Bangladeshi and Nigerian troops, have come here to keep the peace, a peace hopefully of about 5 kilometers. It's a start. Lunsar is just one of many cities in Sierra Leone seized by the RUF to gain control of the country's lucrative diamond industry. They also seized Bo and Kenema, Sierra Leone's main diamond mining region, which is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Of course, that's been very devastating on the population, on property, as well as life. It's a very bad role that diamond is playing in their own pursuit of the war.
The link between the diamonds and the rebels is President Charles Taylor of neighboring Liberia. UN sources tell us that Taylor is the mastermind of a scheme that has the RUF bringing diamonds to Liberia to trade for weapons. The diamonds then make their way into the international market, oftentimes and unknowingly to New York's Diamond District. But with profits of that size, the UN knows it will be difficult to make the RUF lay down its weapons.
It's never happened anywhere that you're able to get guns out of the hands of people who have been using these guns for a long period, either to keep a rebellion going or just to get what they want.
But in some places, they have done just that, like here in Lunsar. The UN says while the rebels still live here, the leader of the community has convinced his followers to lay down their arms. And we saw that firsthand as the rebels welcomed us and UN peacekeepers into their town and into their homes. It was the first meeting for the leaders of both the UN and the RUF, and it carried with it a promise of peace.
Colonel Kalon has done very well because it was a test case. Lunsar was a test case, and he symbolized the peace effort in Lunsar. I really commend his effort. If all other members of RUF could emulate his character and learn to persevere and forgive and forget, definitely there will be peace in Sierra Leone. I'm optimistic.
And we hope there will be much cooperation from our brothers to them. And we guarantee there will be no problem. And we also assure Colonel Wallace, who is here with us now, giving him confidence that we'll give him our maximum cooperation, which we have been giving to Colonel Oladipo. And we assure him that we will work with him in order to have our everlasting peace in this country.
And it's giving people who used to live in Lunsar some reason to come back home.
Because of the deployment, they have big assurance.
Because of the deployment of the UN troops.
That's now that UNOMSIL is here, they have the advantage, they have the courage that there is now a permanent peace, so they are coming now.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. But not every rebel-held territory holds so much hope, as we would find when we went into another city with an impressive show of force by armed peacekeepers and armored vehicles. This is McKinney in the heart of the Diamond District. Diamonds pay for this war, this rebellion. If the United Nations can bring peace to this part of the country, it is hoped it can bring peace anywhere. UN peacekeepers have been deployed, but they've been unable to disarm the rebels. Still, that is not stopping them from making an incredibly intimidating presence. But that's all it is, a presence.
Our mandate is peacekeeping. It has not yet gone to peace enforcement.
When you arrive in McKinney, you forget the UN presence and the UN protection. You are in a completely different world where there are no rules, where promises can be broken at any time, and your life is in the hands of what we in America would call terrorists. It is impossible not to be intimidated by all the weapons or disturbed by the fact that young boys are carrying them. They were not children anymore, they were soldiers, and their young general was waiting for us. What does the RUF want? What are the goals of your movement, of your organization?
Before even we took up the arms, you know, our people, I mean, we have so many minerals in our country, Sierra Leone, but at the end of the day, we are the most poor country because of lack of, you know, better leadership.
The world, however, is not clear in understanding some of your policies and some of the measures you've taken against your enemies or your perceived enemies. For example, the mutilation of everybody, men, women, and children.
Which type of brutality you are talking of?
And we learned what comes when you ask the wrong question. Intimidation.
The general is not getting you much more properly. And I ask that you make your voice by camp permission more audible so that it can get you and answer your questions more accurately. Thank you very much.
I take your point. A soldier-like scolding over something very trivial to distract us. But we finally got our answer.
No. We are not involved in that.
All right.
We are not involved in that. And, I mean, we don't fight with cutlasses or matches, We fight with gun, you see.
A denial and admission, followed by yet another admission, one that made it clear the RUF was not budging from its position and feels justified in what it's done over the past 10 years.
I never ordered any of my men to attack any position, but now I'm under attack by the SLPP government, but we are not afraid of the SLPP government, but we deem it necessary for us to give our people peace. We are not, we don't have no interest in war for no longer.
Once the general had said what he wanted to say, the interview was over, and we left. As we were driving back to our hotel later that day, the situation in Makeni was the topic of a radio talk show, and it just didn't sound like the Makeni we had just come from.
If anybody try to touch any of the peacekeepers, they will get a bloody nose, that's what I say.
We knew if the situation deteriorated in Makeni, it would be much worse than a bloody nose. It already is. The RUF may feel under attack, but its victims are trying to rebuild the lives the rebels have destroyed. Many are now living in amputee camps. Others are coming to New York, where their future is looking a bit brighter. Also, why amputation has become the RUF's signature atrocity in this war of atrocities. The disturbing reason behind it when we return.